Welcome, everyone. I am Enrique Acosta Gonzales, and I am joined by Ashkan Tashvir as we will be speaking today about why transformational leadership is so important. And Ashkan, I can't wait to get into this conversation because I know it's going to be a crowd favorite.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Enrique. So maybe before we discuss transformational leadership, let's just have a little bit of conversation on uh, transformation itself. Yeah. So when we say transformation, I think transformation is one of those words that is actually not overloaded. Yeah. So uh, uh, it's like even if you do some search online, like the word transformation, some biological process will come up showing you, you go, this is the process of transformation or something like that. Now, and that makes our life a bit easier. When we will refer to, I mean, when we say transformation here, we're talking about a kind of a change that it occurs in such a way that you cannot relate to the matter as you used to in the past anymore. Yeah. So, for example, if you take a caterpillar, for example, like you have the caterpillar, and then the caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. These two creators are very, very different in terms of their functionalities, in terms of physiology, in terms of what they can do. One can only crawl, and the other one can fly. So it's the metamorphism. It's like fundamental, deep change that's going to last. Yeah. So um, So when we're talking about transformational leadership, we need to look into if it is not there, what kind of problems we're going to be dealing with, as we do. There are certain problems that we deal with, very tangible, practical problems that we're going to be dealing with, particularly in the scope of organizations and teams, that then it demands us taking a more transformational approach towards our leadership. Yeah. So do you have any um like what comes to your mind when there's no culture of transformation, particularly from a leadership perspective, in place? What are the common problems that you think that they're going to arise?
Well, I love your example of the caterpillar and butterfly because when I look at leadership in those two instances or examples,
Mhm.
you mentioned there's but so much a caterpillar can do that the butterfly will outdo, right? And that's the whole point of
Mhm.
transformation. You want to be able to outdo your past. You want to be able to do things you could not do before. And in the
Yeah,
absence of transformation in leadership, there are going to be some heights you can never attain because you can't fly that high. You can't get off the floor.
yeah,
Looking at the example of the caterpillar and butterfly. So, in the absence of transformation in leadership, you are limiting the heights that you can attain by not having
yeah,
that.
yeah. No, that's great. Thank you. You extended the analogy very well. Now, but if you want to look into like the work that a team does within an organization, let's say, if there's no transformation mindset, you'd say, one thing that obviously we're going to be dealing with is a kind of a fixated mindset. Yeah. So this is how things are, and this is how things work, and that's going to be a bit more autocrative. It's going to be more um, um, directive, I would say. And the thing is, like most people, we know phenomenologically, it's like this is a common human experience that most people would feel very disempowered in such a culture. Yeah, they may feel that their contribution and their views n- don't matter. It's not going to make a difference. Yeah, so it's going to lead to and kind of a poor dynamics between the team members. Yeah. And another one is going to lead to less pluralistic views, or not letting everyone's view or perspective contribute into the comprehensive understanding of whatever problem is going to be solved, or whatever product or offering is being created. Now, now here, nowadays we talk about diversity, we talk about inclusion, and some they took that to a kind of a tokenism, so that you need to tick the boxes. It's a kind of a list of compliance. We're not talking about that. We're genuinely talking about this thing that if you have diverse group of people, not necessarily from an ethnicity perspective, or gender perspective, if you have diverse uh, people in your team, there some are going to be more creative, some are going to be more like seeing it from this perspective, from that perspective, and the benefit of that is going to be you're going to end up shaping a more congruent and comprehensive holistic understanding of whatever problem you're trying to solve for your market, let's say. And then you're going to very likely come up with a better, more um, inclusive product, which that's the nature of a product. See, if you are a consultant, you tap into a completely different model. You go to this organization, your potential client, they have a very, very specific problem, and as a consultant, you're going to provide a very, very specific solution to their very, very specific problem. But if you are a product manager, if you are a product business, if you want to come up with a product that more and more people can use it, can find it valuable, therefore they're going to tip in and vote for your existence and growth, then obviously, like if you want to be in a kind of a scalable market, then building your product in such a way that it's a general solution to a problem that the wide majority of people would resonate with matters. So anyway, so we could stay in that conversation a lot, but what I'm trying to say is, if there is a lack of transformation or transformational um, culture and transformational leadership, then you're going to be dealing with fixated mindset. You're going to be dealing with like poor engagement. You're going to um, deal with poor dynamics amongst the team. So, so these are some of the common um, problems that arise um, uh, if there's no culture of transformation. Yeah. So this is the context. This is why we're having this conversation. Yeah. Another thing I would like to add and then complete on my end on why we're having this conversation is things are changing, and they're changing in a kind of rapid pace, um, in such a way that we haven't experienced it before. um, Particularly because of these more advanced technologies like AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, and data mining, and big data analytics, and all of these more modern technologies that are constantly being built and developed. Um, and that's just like making everything faster and faster and faster. Now, if you're not going to tap into transformational leadership with regards to your technology in your business, with regards to the tools that you use, with regards to how you are um, engaging various different people with different skills, with different qualities, you're going to fail in your organizations by the metrics of it. Yeah. So this is a very technical conversation we're having. Because at the end of the day, let's say if you're an entrepreneur, the definition of entrepreneur by the person who coined the term, Jean Baptiste Say, um, the French economist, is something like the the entrepreneur is the one who shifts economic resources from the areas of low productivity and yield to the areas of higher productivity and return. So you want to be this person who can transform yourself, You want to relate to whatever is going on in the world quite differently because they are changing. You can't have a fixated mindset. And you want to ensure that your team, the teams that you're leading, the organization that you're leading, is also so aware of that. They know that these changes are coming, and they're actively in and continuously they are developing their more congruent conceptions of different parts of this reality as it's changing. In order, I mean, if you fail in that, then you're going to fall behind. You're not going to be able to compete positively. Yeah. So this is what I often say, and people ask me, should we be really worried in the business world with AI is going to come and ruin our business? I said that more than you need to be concerned about the AI itself causing problem for you, you need to be concerned that your competitors equipping, being equipped with AI and more modern technologies may outperform you. And yes, there are going to be more advantages. So, therefore, long story short, if you're wise enough, there's no other way but to tap into transformation, mindset and transformational leadership. It's a matter of survival. It's not a matter of growth anymore. Yeah, it's not a luxury. It's not just vitamin that okay, like I'm short in vitamin D and then I'll take care of it. It's a painkiller. We need to address it right now.
Yeah, the point I wanted to express was, the issue is not being a caterpillar.
Mm,
Everybody has to start somewhere. The issue is being a caterpillar in a butterfly world, right?
mm,
That there's transformation, changes are coming, things are changing, and you have to know that transformation is the way to do it. And if you thwart it, or you put it down, or you say, or you block it, right? There's some leaders that will block growth. Then what you're
mm,
doing is you're forcing yourself to be something in a different landscape, and then you may
yeah,
not survive, right? You may not exceed the expectations that you even have for yourself in the realms of
yeah.
success.
Oh, yes. So, see, most organizations, the ones that are quite aware, and they're trying to foresee the future because they want to ensure um, they want to secure their survival and growth as we go. Yeah. So any wise leader should do that. Now, um, so the thing, I mean, like I've written this chapter in this Springer book, working with Peter and Reto. We can put the link down in the description. So the conversation is transformational organizations, and and in order for us, so my argument in the book and the chapter that I contributed is in order for us to cause transformation within all different aspects of the organization. Let's say transformation around the profitability of your organization. That's some quite appealing conversation for most leaders out there. Um, you have to start from your people because at the end of the day, as a leader, you're going to build people, you're going to support people building themselves so that they can build the business, they can build a product, build a business. So uh, as much as we like to think that business is one thing and then the people is something else, in reality, people is just like a bunch of people sitting together, creating alignment, creating a kind of a service or product, serving some other people. So it's all about people. Yeah. Now, if you are not leveraging your um, human capital, like some people don't like this term, but it's in part your capital. And if you're not leveraging your human capital, human potential within your organization, leveraging the most out of it, yeah, then you're going to be in trouble. You're not going to be able to have the people Do the things that are required in order for you to come up with better and better, high quality, innovative products and services so that you can go out there and communicate it effectively again with the number of people out there, let's call them market, and then legitimately just generate revenue and then create profitability. So because like I see this that often there are some people in the position of leadership that are so obsessed with their revenue, so obsessed with money making. The thing that they don't pay enough attention to, in order for you to make that kind of money, you want to focus on the giving first, not accumulation. Because at the end of the day, money is the medium of exchanging value. Now, if you are so obsessed and focusing on accumulation of wealth or accumulation of revenue or profitability, as opposed to focusing on giving and being at service, you are expecting the consequences of something which has happened yet. Yeah. So therefore, it's extremely important to look into what is needed to be done first in giving and being at service. Now, there again, I want to emphasize it's extremely important for us to leverage our human potential, the people that we have. Not only the people that we have, but also how we're going to add other people into our team. It's extremely important part of the business and talent acquisition. And we discussed that like in some of the episodes we had like in this series we've gone through various different qualities that according to my studies I believe I concluded that are extremely important for us to look into when we are getting the right people on board. But yeah, so talent acquisition, where to look at, like what kind of qualities matter objectively, yeah, despite like what kind of a culture your organization is going to have or what kind of a specific core values you're going to adopt. But yeah, there's a base level of that. Like you want committed people, you want courageous people, you want assertive people, you want authentic people, you want the people that actually care and the people that are resourceful and accountable, et cetera, et cetera. Now, so yeah, so how to acquire talents, new talents, and then once because you're not going to end up having perfect people, then you have your existing members in the team. Now, are you taking this into consideration that transformation is an ongoing process? Because it's not like you find these like you cherry pick all these perfect people, you bring them in your team, go okay, now you need to really perform perfectly. That's not going to be the case. That requires maintenance. That requires constant, continuous culture building, and that's exactly where transformational leadership comes to play. But it begins with this way of relating, tapping into this paradigm that transformation is necessary. It's a necessity as opposed to something desirable.
Yeah, and as you were talking about transformational leadership, there's always this thing about continuous improvement. We're always trying to add something better and better. And so, what role does continuous transformation have in this
Mm.
conversation?
Oh, see, like it's the nature of it, like it's the whatness of transformation. It comes as the intrinsic essence of transformation, because see, um, you're going to constantly identify the troubled sides and the hot spots, the blind spots, the areas that are not serving and are not contributing into the overall integrity of whatever system you're building. Yeah. So as far as you're sensitive enough and sensible enough and have developed that vision, ability to see and discernment, you're going to pick, you're going to identify these areas that are not necessarily contributing to the overall integrity of whatever you're building, or on the other side, even they're depraving that, they're compromising the integrity. So the moment that you identify that, you want to go and address it. Yeah. It can be, a person, a key person within your team is causing certain problems. It can be some part of the culture that you have built, like overall. It's not just a person, but it's like overall that piece of cultural thing that has been developed or you have developed previously in your organization or team is not really serving. Yeah. So, for example, like you may have been quite casual around like what time everyone comes at work or something like that, but then you're observing them, you're monitoring it, and you see that this is status quo is not necessarily serving. So you need to you need to pick that, and you need to bring it to the gently and assertively and effectively. You need to bring it to the attention of all team members. So then let's say you identified that and then you addressed it, and okay, so through certain iterations that's going to be addressed, but then you're going to find another pieces. So you're going to identify other things that are not working, or the same thing that you've tried to address once and twice, and in these two times, these two rounds, you managed to effectively, to a degree, effectively address them, is it still needs more work. So and that tells us that by the nature of it, transformation is going to be iterative. It's going to it's not a one-off um, project. It's not something to go, okay, so let's go do this and then that's done. So you constantly are going to see the areas that are not working, and some of these to be addressed, it requires rounds and rounds of transformation. So it's more like taking a more ontological approach, yeah, looking into the isness of things as opposed to how we wish it to be. See, we may wish that, oh, it could be really good if I just bring this thing up, we address it once, and it's going to, we live happily ever after. But we know that realistic, that's a very sentimental, overly positive or optimistic perspective to take. But more realistically, if we want to be authentic and having congruent conceptions of reality, it's like we know that you identify something, you even create a commitment, you are committed to hold these other people accountable, hold yourself accountable. You know that you're going to violate your own self-selected value structure and commitments, yeah, here and there. So, therefore, what you want to put in place, assertively and gently at the same time, yeah, quite transparently, not to push it on people. So, you're going to create these effective communications and trust within the team that, yeah, so this is the thing that we want to address. This is why. And let's create these commitments and go through this iterative approach, and we execute on them. We relate to that piece of reality differently. Yeah, so far we were looking into responsibility this way. Now we want to look into responsibility that way, so we're altering our conception of responsibility. Now once that's done, then we want to execute, we want to track, we want to learn, we want to refine, and we want to execute again. And this is basically what I discuss in the transformation methodology as part of the being framework.
I like the butterfly uh, example you talked about earlier. If the butterfly just transformed and that was it, there would be many dead gardens. Part of
Mm,
that transformation is for that butterfly to take pollen to one other gardens, and it helps fruit, and so other people are affected by that continuous transformation that occurs with even a butterfly. And so just like in leadership, if you are just satisfied from one transformation and don't continue to develop that transformation, there are some things
mm,
that will die off in your organization, and mainly
yeah,
probably some of the people, right? Their careers, their trajectory,
yeah,
their profitability. So it's
yeah,
important to
yeah.
have that continuous transformation.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I mean, like just being responsible around that analogy of butterfly, like I mean, that was just to demonstrate, but like we human beings, we're way more than a butterfly, and I think that like more and more dynamically we can transform. And But yeah, see, you point out a very, very interesting thing. Um, so one of the problems that it was a couple of months ago, I was part of this roundtable breakfast, and then there were leaders that mostly from consulting firms, yeah, consulting firms, and so with the consulting firms, literally like your product is partly like the people, your consultants. Yeah, you have these very well educated, qualified, and trained consultants that they can actually go out and then work. And so one problem that often they have is like at times that they need to have some of the consultants in the team, in their professional services team, sitting on the bench, not having enough work. That's one type of problem which is quite common. Another type of problem that is very, very common is, especially that applies to all different industries, but particularly when it comes to services and consulting businesses, is employee retention. So the thing is, if you don't have dynamic enough culture and environment, um, and as people are growing, this is another thing to pay attention, because if people are transforming anyway, so people are growing in their careers, yeah, and if you don't provide the next opportunity for that person who's growing, and then you want them to be sitting there fixated in their role because it's just like working, yeah, it's like contributing to the integrity of your business at the moment, but you ignore the fact that this person is growing. They may not be fully satisfied to be sitting in the same role forever. Now, a person who's tapping into the transformational leadership would take that into consideration. So you create opportunities in conversation with these different individuals so that then they know where they're going after this stage. Yeah, what is the next opportunity for them to be promoted in? So now, but promotion mostly is, I mean, being seen as like, okay, so I take a little bit more responsibility and I perhaps earn a little bit more. But this thing that we're discussing is not, no, if you have people that are enthusiastically, they have been building their career within the realm of your organization. They want to have the next opportunities lined up, which you need to create it with them. Otherwise, they're going to go elsewhere, and that's a loss. Like getting new people on board is technically an extremely expensive practice. Whether you want to work with recruitment agency and you have your HR department and um, uh, going through rounds of interviews, et cetera, and then adding a new person, and they go through the probation period, and then you may realize they're not the right fit, or they may not like to continue working with. So it's a very, very expensive process. Yeah, it's much better for you to be able to provide a kind of an environment and provide a kind of a leadership that it increases the rate of your employee retention. And again, like transformational leadership plays a major role within that context.
Now, Ashkan, earlier you spoke about blind spots. So, what kind of common blind spots are there in leadership approaches?
So one of the common, I mean, what are the common blind spots resides within leadership approaches? Yeah. So remember, I think we did one episode in the leadership foundation series, being framework leadership foundation series, where we were discussing different styles of leadership. Well, I mean, so let's say there's so many different styles, but one very, very common um, blind spot is actually where um, the leader would. So okay, so visionary leaders. Let me create it this way. Most visionary leaders, the ones that they have a vision, yeah. So that's basically what it sparked the like ignited the urge at some point, especially like if you have the leaders that they are the part of the founding teams of that organization, And you see this often more in a small to the medium enterprises. So they have lots of passion. They have this big of a vision that they want to fulfill it. Now that can create the leader being quite biased in a sense that, okay, I so know what needs to be done. I just need the right people so that they can get them done. Now, this way, consciously or unconsciously, you may fall into this trap that the vision is super clear. I don't even want anyone to contribute to the creation of the vision. Yeah. So therefore, they're going to push back all these smart, unique contribution that can come from various different people in their teams, because the leader is so fixated on the vision to be created, and he or she just wants people to get them done. Yeah. So in a way that they may relate to the work provided by different people. It's like pieces in the puzzle, but they've already seen the puzzle that they wanted to be built. Now that often is very unrealistic. We can discuss that further if you like, but by that I mean, like, often you start having some initial ideas around a product or around a business, but very unlikely that that initial picture or that prototype is going to be completely matching the 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 end result uh, when you build that actual product and then you want to commercialize it. So it changes a lot. Yeah. And as part of that, you want to let the team contribute, or the potential clients, yeah, and to contribute, so that you don't end up building something that at some point you're going to realize that, oh, no one seems to be as excited as you were in building that, and we see that a lot. Yeah. Now, but the blind spot, going back to your question, is this, that you're not going to come up with a vision, crystal clear vision, um, and then execute on it, and it's going to just blow the whole, like, disturb the whole industry. Always you start with something and you let that being developed, being changed, and get polished to the point that it's going to. So that kind of not having transformational leadership approach, not tapping into the transformational leadership approach, being so fixated. So that's one of the common blind spots that I've seen, particularly when it comes to small to medium sized enterprises. Yeah.
Now, as we continue to speak about transformational leadership, I know that the being framework has relation with it, and so I wanted you to cover that piece, as we've
Mhm.
covered the being framework in other episodes that we've spoken about, but specifically to
Yeah.
transformational leadership.
Yeah. Yeah. So just like I would respond quite the high level, because like we have so many different videos discussing the being framework, and there are the books and everything, and there are articles, and um the thing is, what I actually favor is what I call multidimensional leadership. Yeah, multidimensional leadership suggests that it's not like you need to adopt just one type of leadership, one style of leadership, and stick to it, and that's going to serve in all different circumstances. And it's not like you come up with one solution for everything, and that's hard, because like you need to then develop this discernment where to change your style depends on what you're dealing with. Yeah. And there are times that we need to extremely be directive, when, for example, like it comes to crisis management. Yeah. So something is terribly is going wrong, and then even if you're not going to see, you may go, I may be right up to 70%, but you need to make that swift decision, quick decision, yeah, immediately, because time matters. It's exactly like, for example, you're being in the soccer match. Now, yes, of course, that, like, so imagine that you are uh, um, uh, like it's like 5 minutes to the end of the match, and you're just like one goal score away, and and yes, like it's good to take a time and then go sit there, and then with the coach and then with the captain can gather everyone together and then discuss it, and then gather different perspectives and views on what to do now. But at the end of the day, the time is passing, and you will go, you know what? I may not have the perfect solution, but as a captain, let's say, but let's just do it. Yeah. So therefore, you're not going to have the luxury of always gathering everyone together and then be overly democratic and um, like continuously benefit from everyone's perspective on every single decision that is going to be made. Um, so so basically by that I'm saying that a multidimensional leadership is like you're going to look into different dimensions and you're going to look into different styles, and you're going to become capable of discerning which one is going to be suitable on what kind of things that you do. Yeah. So that's basically my view. But amongst the existing specific styles of leadership, with no doubt I would favor transformational leadership. Yeah. Now, when it comes to the transformational leadership, at the very core of it sits obviously transformation. So we need to get familiar with how to cause transformation, which basically in the being framework, we have the transformation methodology. So there, I suggest this simple model that it's built on top of the existing literature. It's not something that, in its totality, I'm coming up with, but basically, we start with a degree of awareness. So you're going to perceive something, you're going to adopt a perception, you're going to conceive something, you're going to tap into your rationality, you're going to try to understand, make a conception, congruent conception of whatever is going on. When it comes to, let's say, seeing something is not working, you see the symptoms, you want to uh, be a deep thinker, you want to tap into contemplation, reflection, you want to tap into comparison and analysis, and basically you will develop a degree of authentic understanding of whatever is going on. Then, once that's clear, once you have that initial evolved congruent conception, then you're going to go, okay, so I'm going to create a commitment. I'm going to commit that this needs to change this way. Once that's done, then you're going to execute on that. You're going to execute on that promise. And then you're going to track, see how you're going. And then you're going to learn what's working, what's not working. You go through these feedback loops and everything. And then you're going to refine. Once you refine, you're recommitting, or you're creating a second commitment, which is more precise and refined, yeah, and more educated than your initial conception of the matter before you start executing. Once that um, refinement is there, then you again execute. And you're going to keep doing that. Now, you're going to dance between a degree of awareness to a degree of and a degree of effectiveness. And this iterative approach is going to start with that initial conception, execution, execution, execution. You're going to become better and better and better with it. And then ultimately, you're going to generate a higher degree of effectiveness, starting from a bare minimum competency, being proficient in that, all the way to mastery. Mastery being this like the ultimate level of effectiveness in something, to the point that the amount of mistakes that you're going to make is going to be minimized and to some degree avoided. So that's basically how I would say um, transformational leadership is linked to the being framework and the transformation methodology part of it particularly.
Oh, well, thank you, Ashkan, for sharing that. And thank you all for joining us on this transformational leadership episode where we went over understanding transformational leadership, the role of continuous transformation, some common blind spots in leadership approaches, and now how you can use the being framework to support your transformational journey. Thank you, Ashkan, for being with us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you very much, Enrique, and thank you very much, everyone.